Good morning, everybody. We have a higher trade in the grain markets here early on Friday morning. It is 6:30 a.m. Central Time. May corn futures up 3 cents at 593. May corn up 3 cents at 593. December corn up 2 and 3 quarters at 515. May soybeans up 9 cents at 1427 and a quarter. November beans are up 5 and 3 quarters at 1274 and 3 quarters. May Chicago wheat up 2 cents at 655 and 3 quarters. May Kansas City wheat is up a quarter at 608. May spring wheat up 1 and 3 quarters at 665. For those of you guys listening on the podcast, as always, appreciate it. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you hit that like button for me. It would really help me out in regard to YouTube to help get these videos distributed. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and subscribe to the channel if you have not already. Much appreciated, guys. And if you need some additional assistance from me, go to my website. It is www.standardgrain.com. Go to that website, click on Grain Marketing Plan here in the upper right-hand corner. For $49 a month, I offer a subscription service that is geared toward farmers and grain marketers. It includes my morning email, which goes out every business day at 6:30 a.m. Central Time. It includes a text message service, which includes market updates twice a day. Anytime I'm making a sale, capture and carry, any of that sort of stuff is included in the text message service. I'm also now doing subscriber-only videos and content. This is really kind of like grain marketing intensive stuff where I really get into cash sales, what I'm doing there, what I'm doing with capture and carry, spreads, options, all that sort of stuff. This is a monthly subscription that can be canceled at any time. So certainly check that out if you need some additional assistance with your marketing. To get into some of the headlines here this morning, last week's export sales report, or yesterday's report, was kind of disappointing. Old crop corn sales only 328,000. They were down 58% on the week and down 81% from the prior 4-week average. A bunch of old crop corn was switched from unknown destinations to places like Japan, Mexico, and South Korea, also Taiwan. Old crop soybean sales were soft, just 90,000. China and unknown destinations canceled some beans. There were net cancellations of old crop wheat, but some decent new crop sales. So yesterday's export sales generally kind of a negative input here, although you would not know that by looking at the markets here this morning. March soybean crush was lower than expected, just slightly. NOPA said yesterday that U.S. processors crushed 177.98 million bushels of soybeans in March. The expectation was just above 179, so they missed it by only by a million bushels or so. This was still the second best March on record and the sixth largest crush number for any month on record. USDA, as of last week, estimates that U.S. processors will crush a record 2.19 billion bushels of soybeans during the marketing year that ends on August 31st, which would account for 48% of projected demand for U.S. soybeans. I talk about this all the time, but you've got to watch these crush numbers because it's basically half your demand base for beans. I know that exports typically grab the headlines, but the crush numbers are equally as important. Argentina's corn crop may not be quite as bad as expected. The Buenos Aires Grain Exchange raised its estimate this morning. 46 million is the new estimate, up from 45 previously. USDA is at 47. The quote from the exchange was this: "Good expectations for late planted corn allow us to increase the production projection by 1 million tons to 46. That's what they said in the weekly report. So it's still not going to be a bumper crop by any means. Maybe not quite as bad as expected. China's pork output increased 32% in the first quarter. There's kind of like two competing narratives here, and they could both be true, I guess, to some extent. The increase comes amid one huge investment in the country's hog herd after African swine fever drastically decreased the numbers during the last, well, really, it was 2018, 2019. China's pig herd increased 30% on the year in March. So that's your one factor on why this pork output number was up so big. The other one is that there has been a resurgence in African swine fever in China recently, and the severity is kind of being debated here. The government hasn't really said a ton about it. Some private sources have indicated that it's a lot worse than the government has let on. Some reports suggesting that this jump in pork output was actually a result of producers rushing hogs to the market prior to a disease outbreak. They wanted to get out in front of this thing so that their animals were not infected and get them sold. So I don't know, it could be a little bit of both, but interesting story nevertheless. Soybean crush margins in China are weakening, and this could be a related story. Sources citing two factors here. China is feeding more wheat. USDA has indicated a pretty big increase in wheat feeding in China over the last few months. That's likely to reduce meal demand. The other deal would be, of course, a resurgence in African swine fever, which could reduce overall demand for products like meal and corn and wheat, I suppose, if they're feeding more of it. So this is a factor that could reduce feed demand in China for all sorts of products over the long term, this ASF deal. But soybean crush margins weakening up just a little bit. Cattle market was lower yesterday. I think April cattle have been lower for 5 days in a row. We've seen some light deliveries. I think there was like 35 yesterday. I'm not sure about this morning. Cash sales have been 120 to 121 this week. The box beef market's still holding together well. We'll see if we can gain some traction here today, see what develops in the cash market. In the outside markets, we've got the Dow Jones up 50 points, the S&P's up 5. Very strong trade there continues. Precious metals a little bit higher this morning. U.S. dollar is down just a little bit. Crude oil is down 13 cents in the May WTI at 63.33. We've got the bonds down. If you guys would like some more information, again, go to my website. You can shoot me an email, info@standardgrain.com. Have a great weekend. I'll talk to you Monday.